With your tasbihat loudly. I want to recite Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar myself, with my heart, privately. But you want me to do it publicly. And I sit down and I am angry. But I can't say anything. Because you've been doing it for 1,000 years now. And you will never change. So all that I can do is to build my own masjid. And in my masjid, after the salams, it will be quiet. Quiet. And everybody will be able to make istighfar, seeking forgiveness with tears in the heart, tears in the eyes, and begging Allah to accept the salat I've just performed. And then make tazkirat privately. These are things that we should be seeking to do in the masjid. Is that answer your question? Use the word Taliban. Those who use the word Taliban have to answer that question. I always use the Islamic resistance, the armed Islamic resistance. And I accept as valid the struggle of all my brothers who are struggling and giving their lives while I'm here in KL eating durian. I only ate it once so far. They are giving their lives out there. They are fighting. Why should I not accept the legitimacy of their armed struggle? And support them in every single way that I can. So I make no distinction between my brothers who are engaged in the armed struggle for liberation from oppression in Afghanistan. I want to see no sectarian debates. No. The way forward is to accept them all as our brothers who are waging a legitimate struggle against injustice and against oppression. And then we are obliged to support that jihad. It is a jihad. If you cannot go and join the jihad, then you can support the jihad materially. You can support the jihad in many different ways, but you do not oppose it. The Prophet spoke ﷺ about riba. The economists somehow or the other don't like to use the word riba. He said whether riba is big or small, the end is still the same. Destitution, poverty and destitution. They call it depression. The masses are reduced to biting poverty. That is already here. So if the rich people on the gravy train have some up and down, the rich people on the gravy train have some ups and downs, it does not affect the basic situation where most of mankind are now living in destitution, in permanent poverty. That is the analysis that we must give to the world. Okay? Yes, the US dollar is going to collapse. In fact, I believe it's going to be demonetized, meaning it's not going to be accepted as legal tender for buying and selling. Because Uncle Sam knows, if you're in ICU long enough, you're going to die. Okay? So the US dollar actually is already dead. But they're keeping it alive with this modern machine. When they demonetize the US dollar, they're going to have something to, they have to have something to replace it. I did not realize this when I said 15 years ago that all the paper money will collapse and will all be replaced with electronic money. I said that 15 years ago. Now I realize that electronic money has already taken over from paper money. The major financial transactions in the world are all electronic now, digital. And the paper money is used only for micro transactions, micro. It will be a little bit cumbersome to have electronic money used for buying Tetarik, Roti Canai, newspaper. So they will need a substitute for the paper currency when they demonetize the US dollar. What is that substitute going to be? I don't know. If you go to Mecca and Medina today, you're going to meet Dajjal. Oh yes. Dajjal is there, big sign, KFC. Dajjal is there, big sign, McDonald's, hamburgers. Dajjal is very firmly there in Mecca and Medina now. Oh yes. What the hadith actually is speaking of is when Dajjal emerges in our world of space and time. And he's not as yet emerged in our world of space and time. When Dajjal is released, he will live on earth for 40 days. This is explained in Jerusalem in the Quran, but even better in chapter 2 of my book entitled Suratul Kahfi and the Modern Age. Chapter 2 is entitled The Quran and Time, and that chapter explains this hadith. That he will live on earth for 40 days. A day like a year, a day like a month, a day like a week, and all his days, meaning all the rest of his days, like your days. My understanding is that a day like a year has already ended. My understanding is that a day like a month is ending now. My understanding is that a day like a week is now commencing. Unfortunately, I'm the only scholar who has this view. So you don't have to accept my view at all. No. You should only accept my view when you are convinced that I'm correct. Otherwise, I'll be very disappointed in you. Yeah. When Dajjal's day like a week has ended, then he will appear in human form as a Jew, born of Jewish parents. And the Prophet described him as a young man who would be powerfully built and who would have curly hair. It is that stage of his life where Israel will not be able to penetrate Mecca and Medina. Dajjal will come on his donkey. The donkey will travel as fast as the clouds. The donkey will have his ears stretched out wide. In other words, Israel is going to attack with fighter aircraft. But the angels are going to block. And they will not be able to penetrate Mecca and Medina. The hadith relates to that period of time. Dajjal will be followed by 70,000 Jews from Isfahan wearing their Persian shawls, says the hadith. In other words, there's going to be a very close connection between Iran and Dajjal. And support for Dajjal coming from Iran. Which is why we are almost certain that Israel will have to attack Iran. Yes. Not only for destroying the Iranian nuclear plants and so on, but overthrowing this government, which is most certainly supporting the Palestinian cause and opposing Israel. When this government, this regime in Iran is overthrown, as the regime of Mullah Omar in Afghanistan was overthrown, then you have a Karzai in Afghanistan, Karzai. So you'll have a Karzai in Iran tomorrow, not this government. That would be a militantly Shia government. This is not. From the time Iran is attacked and the government is toppled, they probably already have someone groomed to declare himself to be Imam al-Mahdi. I think the Mossad already chose a man already. And he's going to declare himself the Mahdi. It might even be Harun Yahya. It might be. So we have to be careful. We have to be careful that there are Shia in the world whose hearts beat with our hearts, who despise Israel, who despise the oppression in the Holy Land. And these Shia, like Christians, like Jews, are our friends and brothers, because we fight a common cause against a common enemy. But then there are other Shia who are not like that. And those are the ones that the Anglo-American-Israeli alliance want to put in power in Iran. And we have to be careful when they bring out their false Imam al-Mahdi.
Okay, last question.
This is probably going to be the last time that I engage in this extended travel. I left my home 2 months ago. I have slept in about 24 beds already in 2 months. I still have about 1.5 years of travel left ahead of me, continuously traveling. This is not easy at all. I hope I can complete it. But when I complete it and go back home, I say, oh Allah, let others now do it, please. I don't want to travel again. What advice do I have for you? Do not betray the Quran. No. Do not betray the Quran. Only the Quran can explain the world today. And in the Quran it is Islamic eschatology, the subject of Akhiru Zaman. Only the Quran can explain Akhiru Zaman. I have written several books, read them. Jerusalem in the Quran is the textbook on Islamic eschatology. Gog and Magog, an Islamic view of Gog and Magog in the modern world, has just been written. It is here. Suratul Kahf in the modern age. And I'm now writing the book on Dajjal. Read all the gold dinar and silver dirham, Islam and the future of money. It's only 55 pages. Because Dr. Suleiman Mahbub, who is the Director General of the Prime Minister's Department of Economic Planning, he was the chairman when I gave this lecture in Damansara Heights 4 years ago. And when I was finished with the lecture, he asked me to write out this lecture.